and foremost, I want to start off by giving all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rachahakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. And as always, we give peace and salutations unto the elect. Just wanted to get into a article. This is off of theguardian.com, sent by one of the beloved elders. It says, Biden brands Putin a killer and says he will pay for Russian election interference. All right, as we know, Babylon the Great is known for creating boogeymen, all right, and propaganda, all right, for the purpose of wickedness. All right, now all of these Edomites are wicked, all right, but in prophecy, the Lord uses Russia, which prophetically is known as Gog and Magog, all right, which they weren't the original inhabitants of that land, but through conquering and through the sword, you know, this is where the Russians, all right, are now, you know, dwelling, you see, and prophetically they're going to be used, all right, to eventually strike Babylon the Great, along with garnering, you know, and stirring up the minds of many other nations, along with Iran, you know, Libya, you know, Ethiopia, and many different nations are currently in process, you know, being armed for the purpose of a strike on Babylon the Great. That's why over the last 10 years, you've seen a heavy mentioning of Russia in the news. All right, now, as we did a video yesterday on Revelation, the 13th chapter, NATO, okay, was created for the purpose of combating the USSR, all right, which was, you know, Russia, you know, in its height, you know, but since that point, they kind of dismembered, and, you know, you didn't hear too much about Russia, but over the recent years, you know, you've heard more and more news being brought up involving Russia, all right, because prophetically they're going to be the nation that's going to stir up the minds of these different nations, even EU nations, to separate, all right, from this beast system and to ultimately shoot missiles on Babylon the Great. All right, now Biden brands Putin, okay, the president of Russia, a killer. All right, and says Russia will pay. So what is this speaking into the earth? War, okay, war and rumors of war. All right, as the prophecy said would happen. And this guy right here is a complete demon. All of them are demons. All right, but this one right here is a super demon. Now, yeah, Biden says Putin will pay a price for Russian interference in the U.S. election. Let's see here. Let's see here. Let me click on that thing. Give me 1 second, Salakia. It says Joe Biden said the Russian President Vladimir Putin will face consequences for directing efforts to swing the 2020 presidential election to Donald Trump, and that they would come soon. Okay, so he's saying that pretty much consequences will come soon. Okay, so these are things to look out for, because prophetically we know that friction between, you know, Gog and Magog and Babylon the Great are vital and key to the end, all right, of this system, all right, to World War III. Okay, there's 3 woes speaking of in the Holy Scriptures, man. See, you lose joy in the Scriptures when you're not watching. As Apostle Tahar said on the street speaking this weekend, you see, when you're not watching, when you're not looking at particular articles and what's going on in the world and linking it to biblical prophecy, you fizzle out. See, this is what keeps us going. All right, now we know there's a lot of propaganda in the news, and we know that we have to vet things. All right, but you cannot deny the presence of Russia. All right, in the news. All right, and that can be directly linked to biblical prophecy. So you link these things so that you can understand what times you're in. All right, and increase your joy in what's happening via prophecy. All right. So it says he will pay a price, Biden told the ABC News in an interview that aired on Wednesday morning. Asked by the Good American anchor, Good Morning America anchor, George, Stephanopoulos, whatever the hell his name is, what the consequence would be, he said, "You'll see shortly." He said, "You'll see shortly." All right, because this man, ultimately talked about all of this peace he's going to bring. All right, and immediately he got in, signing all of these laws into play for the alphabet community. All right, he talked about how the troops were coming home. All right, but immediately when he got in office, all right, there was the friction in Syria. All right, was brought back up. Okay, so war is in their heart, man, and the angels are guiding the minds of these people to continue on this path, because you would wonder, like, why doesn't Esau stop? Well, it's not in him to stop. All right, the prophecy says that he would continue going. All right, and eventually, as we'll get in Ezekiel the 38th chapter, there's going to come an evil thought. All right, in the mind of Gog and Magog, Russia, surrounding areas, to do what? Shoot missiles over here, man. So everything's working in our favor, man. All right, as you have their bloodthirsty, with this jab and everything else they got. Well, the Heavenly Father is working out. The angels are working on the minds of these leaders for war, man, which works in our favor. It says Biden's comments come after a U.S. declassified intelligence report on Tuesday bolstered long-standing allegations that Putin was behind Moscow's election interference by proliferating misleading or unsubstantiated allegations, largely designed to denigrate Joe Biden and boost Trump's re-election. All right, some fed through allies of Trump. Russia called the findings baseless. All right, so Russia is being blamed and ultimately trying to interfere with the election, which all of these Edomites are corrupt. Everything you're seeing is corruption. See? And as the scriptures say, corruption is going to be overcome. This is how they're able to forward themselves, through wickedness. All right? We're not going to win within the system. The system has to be destroyed in order for us to win. Okay? At the same time, Biden noted that the U.S. and Russia can walk and chew gum at the same time. Let me read that again. At the same time, Biden noted that the U.S. and Russia can walk and chew gum at the same time. It says there's place where it's in our mutual interest to work together. And they do at times. All right, you'll see them shaking hands in particular interviews and meetings. They're probably passing around little children, doing all sorts of wickedness. All right, but overall, the Heavenly Father is working on the minds for the purpose of war, of the working on the minds of the leaders. It says, such as renewing the START nuclear agreement. He said, adding to the two leaders that the two leaders have a known history of acquaintance. I know him relatively well, Biden said, adding that the most important thing dealing with foreign leaders in my experience, is just know the other guy. All right. Of Putin, Biden said he does not think the Russian leader has a soul. Biden reiterated what was an old comment saying in the ABC interview that in response to former Republican George W. Bush's comment that he had looked into Putin's eyes and seen his soul. Biden had noted, all right, at the time that he had done the same and told Russian presidents to his face that he thought he did not have a soul. Who is this freak to tell someone they don't have a soul? None of these Edomites, they don't have a spirit of mercy. They're absolutely dark people, man. All right? So you got Satan casting out Satan. All right? It says, I did say that to him. Yes, and his response was, we understand one another. Biden said, adding, I wasn't being a wise guy. I was alone with him in his office, and that's how it came about. Could you imagine that meeting and Biden telling him that? But anyway, let's get some prophecy that's pertinent to this whole thing, because this is eventually going to lead to physical war, man. And these nations are tired of Babylon the Great at the end of the day. And it's propaganda. Okay? It's Jeremiah 51:7. Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hands that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore, the nations are mad. Okay? And a lot of these nations that are mad, all right, are looking to Russia and Iran, all right, to arm them. All right? And Russia is at the forefront of it. You see? Now, let's get that in the book of Ezekiel, the 38th chapter. We don't even make this long. Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, which we always bring this out. But it's important that these things continuously be brought out. Okay? It says, and a word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, all right, and Ezekiel is symbolic of the prophets. You see, prophesying in the latter days. All right, he's the one who went into the valley filled with dry bones. Well, that's symbolic of the prophets prophesying through the Spirit in these latter days. All right, as well, to bring the end, man. So it says, Son of man, set thy face against God in the land of Magog. And you can look up an ancient map and you'll see that it's in the area of Russia, Armenia, Georgia, and that particular area. The chief prince of Meshach and Tubal and prophesy against him. All right. Now, we're prophesying against Russia as well, because they're going to fall.